I've been procrastinating on making this video for a while now. Ordinal Tower has been out for approximately 3, 4 weeks. Uh, I don't know. And the main reason why I didn't want to make this video is because I didn't want to sound too negative, honestly. I was expecting something else when Ordinal Tower came out, maybe an actual tower instead of at a boss rush, basically, is what we got. Levels 1 through 6 was you zone in, you kill one boss, and then you're done. And then you leave. And then level 7 was more the tower aspect of Ordinal Tower, where there's 5 bosses, and you could choose between which 3 you want to kill. um, Personally, I did not find it very interesting. Uh, I even asked on YouTube, you know, what is your opinion on Ordinal Tower? And you know, the majority of the people who actually answered said same old, which I can totally agree with. I know it's a very small selection of the player base, but I think it still represents the overall mood or overall opinion. I think Ordinal Tower suffers from everything else that NGS is suffering from. There's all this content. I did make a video saying that PSO2 had no content, but then I went into saying they had no evergreen content instead of just regular content. And now maybe I need to have a more nuanced opinion of that, because I think NGS has content. They have a ton of stuff to do, but there's no reason to do that content, especially if you have a lot of money, because most of the content is you go in there to get a certain drop and then you sell it on the player shop for money to buy cosmetics. And unfortunately, they don't have any cosmetics that I really want right now, and I already have you know enough money, so there's not really much for me to do on PSO2. And that's kind of why I didn't want to make the video. I haven't really been on PSO2 lately. I just log on, do my dailies, do my alliance quests, and uh, maybe I go and collect the valuable items. But I don't really need to do that at this point because I have a decent amount of money, I would say. But that's when I came across this article by 4Gamer where they interviewed Hiro Arai and asked him a few questions about NGS and the future of NGS. And I just wanted to highlight a few things that he said down here, especially. Let me see if I can find them. So, a year of expanding content, improved rewards on the way. From the dev team, since the end of last year, we have been working to enhance the content of the game in response to feedback from players. We have changed our development strategy and are now able to provide a steady flow of content. In the Nuke Varus region, we have added new elements such as floating boards and the throw action, which I think have been generally well received. Yes, while it was an addition, and you could, I guess, call that somewhat content, but it's so small and I I would say insignificant that no, I wouldn't call that content. However, it's also true that combat sectors are the only permanent, stable, playable content, so we still feel that content is lacking. Moving forward, we will continue doing our best to develop a variety of content. Yeah, I will say, um, I don't know what music is playing here. I don't like this. Okay, so I will say that combat sectors always have people in them, at least there's 2 or 3 rooms that are always filled up on ship 2, at least. But the exploratory zones are the problem. There's not a lot of people in them. Maybe you can have one room with like 20 people, but the rest are like literally 1 or 2 people in those rooms. So, and I do think they said they were gonna add more content in exploratory zones down here. So, providing rewards to match the amount of play. Dev team, we have received comments that the rewards do not match the amount of time spent playing. However, since each player has their own needs, such as meseta, weapons, and enhancement materials, we will adjust the type and amount of rewards while keeping a close eye on the balance. Clearly, bravery is not included in that. We also hear players requesting exclusive rewards for urgent quests, etc. However, we want to carefully approach this issue as we are aware of the risk of the gameplay becoming too focused on urgent quests like with PSO2. Now, I understand this comment. Base PSO2 was mainly, hey, there's an urgent quest, now's the time to get on, and that can get right off. But I mean, it's called an urgent quest for a reason, right? It's basically a world-ending threat, or at least that's how I viewed it in base PSO2 and NGS. There's just this insurmountable foe where you need literally the best of the best, and there should be, a significant exclusive reward from an urgent quest, and I think they shouldn't happen too often. In my opinion, urgent quests are happening way too frequently, and it kind of devalues the point of an urgent quest. And maybe they need like a distinction, so they have something that's a little bit lower than urgent quest that happens all the time, and that gives the usual rewards that a urgent quest would, and then they have something above that where that's where the world-ending threats need to be, and the significant rewards would also be there. Also, even if we choose that route or choose to go that route, we would like to only do so for special urgent quests, not for urgent quests associated with new regions. Okay, so basically what I was saying, just special urgent quest or a certain type of urgent quest that is just above just the regular, like probably like next area or the command dolls need to be like in the lower tier of urgent quests, and then something like Dark Falls or even a stronger enemy needs to be in those special urgent quests. While we've received positive feedback for field races as a gameplay element that makes use of fields, we are also receiving requests for more rewards and are currently addressing this by making it an ARC's records objective. Now, this part here kind of makes me worried because, I mean, it shouldn't be the answer. Just put it in ARC's records. But I understand it's easy. Plus, you don't have to think about it too much, upsetting the balance of things. And the rewards are, mainly cosmetic. Other than the craftable, not craftable, other than the Mark 1 Kvaris weapons. However, we are also considering adjusting the rewards obtained directly from the races. I don't know how I feel about that. The rewards coming from the races are good enough, in my opinion. Not only do you get the stat 4s, you also get alpha reactors, which give a decent amount of money. But I will be interested to know what rewards would come if they do change this. Okay, gameplay that utilizes not only closed spaces like training, but also the open fields, which is kind of obvious. You made an open world game, and most of your content is locked behind instances. It's very strange. Anyway, dev team, we have also received requests about wanting to enjoy battle related content in the vast open field rather than in a closed space. In the future, we plan to prepare activities that take advantage of the vast fields and terrain. Should have been like this from the beginning, but no one's perfect. Even though they do boast that they have 10 years of experience. But moving on, the Kvaris region has battles against ancient enemies in the Rayer Gorge, and we have plans for combat taking place in fields in the Stia region, which is coming in December, so please look forward to it. Please note that the Stia region will not feature areas where there is a gameplay mechanic that dishes out continuous damage if you do not prepare for it, such as there is in the Rayer Gorge. Personally, I wasn't a big fan of the decold augments in the lower temperature tickets, but it was an interesting mechanic. It's just they didn't have enough stuff to do inside of that place. It was an exploratory zone, so maybe there should have been stuff for us to find and explore in that area, but it looks like Rayer Gorge is going to be another one of those things where they just threw it in the game, like, oh, this will be interesting, and then they just completely let it go and they move on to something else. So it's just going to be a relic, basically a ruin that's just sitting there. And let's see. So new Stia region coming in the major update in December, a major development in the story. Finally, something is happening in the story that's somewhat interesting. I still give SEGA flack for the Kvaris story. That was super boring because all we were doing was like running around looking at people. Are you Ilma? Are you Ilma? And that just was not an interesting story hook for me personally. And the guy we were supposed to find was like literally two. he's like literally right there next to the fuck. Whatever. So the dev team, following the first and second major updates, a new region is coming. New mechanics, creatures, and enemies will be introduced in Stia, a volcanic region or a volcanic area with flowing lava. Please look forward to it. A lot of please look forward to stuff. Anyway, please look forward to the continued story and the major developments that will touch on what Halpha is and the keys to solving the mystery behind it. I mean, I would say they have nowhere to go but up. And maybe that's what I should say. Compared to the Kvaris story, Stia region has to be better than that. I mean, it has to be. Anyway, if you want to read like this whole article, I will put it in the description below. It's from 4Gamer. Where's the Earth Necklace? No. At least they're aware that their rewards kind of suck. I mean, getting 3 and 4 star weapons when you have 7-star weapons is not ideal. And they are aware that UQs are kind of like a main focus, even though UQs barely give out better rewards than anything else. It just makes me feel like even though they have 10 years of PSO2 under their belt, they didn't learn anything from that, and they're doing the same things. Essentially, same old, and that makes me worried for the future of NGS. Honestly, it really does. I think one of their biggest problems is that the way their content cycle is currently, there's too much of a focus on AC scratches, and I understand it's a free game, they need to make money, But when most of your cosmetics come from just the AC scratch, just from essentially gotcha, there's no reason to do any of the content. And that's why I feel that everybody thinks there's a lack of content. There's a whole bunch of stuff to do in the game, in my opinion. It's just they all suck because the rewards suck. Because almost in all MMOs, in game is essentially cosmetics, and when you can get those cosmetics, without doing in-game things like purple triggers or um, dark falls, it really leaves nothing to do in the end. But that's a little bit sad and pessimistic. So let's leave this video off on a high note. Overlord, the new Overlord collab is coming on the 16th. That should be fun. And that's, that's one thing that PSO and SEGA does, is their collabs are usually very good. Usually. Melty Blood was kind of meh, but that's the thing I liked about base PSO was I liked all their collabs, and I liked their combat too. Base PSO combat was it was fun enough, and NGS combat is better in my opinion, and I love it a lot better than base. But yeah, positive note. Hopefully something good will come in December, so I can stop being a pessimist, and I can just sit back and stop complaining about this game and just enjoy it. Thank you for watching the video. If you agreed with what I said, write in the comments. Or if you disagreed, tell me your opinion. Do you think NGS is actually doing good right now and they're on a nice track? I'm really curious to know. I really am.